Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Wood. Today we'll be learning all about the beautiful and resonant string instrument, the cello. But before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell truth from fiction. Consider this. We picture a cellist as someone sitting elegantly with the instrument resting gracefully on the floor. But would you believe the cello's earliest ancestors were massive bass violins, so large and bulky that performers couldn't sit down and play them? Instead, they had to carry them with a strap over their shoulder, almost like a marching band instrument. What do you think? Is this an actual fact? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Our word for today is scordatura. S-C-O-R-D-A-T-U-R-A. In music, scordatura is an Italian word that literally means mistuning. It refers to the technique of tuning the strings of a stringed instrument differently from their normal standard tuning. Composers use scordatura to create special effects, change the instrument's tone color, make certain difficult passages easier to play, or to achieve notes that would be impossible with standard tuning. The practice of scordatura has been around for centuries, dating back to the Baroque era in the 1600s. Composers like Johann Sebastian Bach used it in some of his most famous works, including his Cello Suite No. 5. For this piece, the top string of the cello, normally tuned to an A, is tuned down to a G. This small change gives the cello a darker, richer, and more somber sound, which perfectly fits the mood of the music. It's a clever trick that shows how a simple adjustment can completely transform the voice of an instrument. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about the cello. Number 1. The cello's endpin, a crucial component for modern players, was a relatively recent invention created out of necessity by a single virtuoso. For hundreds of years, playing a cello was a balancing act. Without an end pin to anchor the instrument, performers had to grip the cello awkwardly between their knees or rested on a small stool or box. This limited their physical freedom and just made playing difficult. It all changed thanks to the 19th century Belgian cellist and composer Adrien-François Servais. Servais was reportedly a large man and found the traditional method especially cumbersome and restrictive. Around 1845, Servais pioneered a simple yet revolutionary solution: a metal spike or end pin that could extend from the bottom of the cello to rest on the floor. This seemingly small innovation was a complete game changer. It provided stability, improved posture, and freed up the cellist's hands and arms for more expressive and agile playing. The end pin also allowed the cello to resonate more fully, subtly enhancing the tone. This little hack was so effective, it was quickly adopted by cellists everywhere, and now it's a standard part of the instrument. Number 2. The sound of a cello is so complex, a single note creates a fascinating wolf tone that musicians have to tame. Have you ever heard of a note on a cello that sounds a bit wobbly or stuttering? You might have been hearing what they refer to as a wolf tone. This is a phenomenon that happens when a frequency of a played note matches the natural resonant frequency of the cello's body. When this happens, the instrument's body vibrates so strongly that it creates a feedback loop with the string, causing a wavering, unstable sound. It's called a wolf tone because its sound is said to resemble a wolf's howl. To understand why it happens, we need to look at the science of sound. A cello produces sound when the bow's friction causes the string to vibrate in a rapid stick and slip motion. This vibration travels through the bridge to the cello's hollow wooden body, which acts as a powerful amplifier or resonator. The entire body of the cello has its own natural frequencies at which it prefers to vibrate. When the note from the string perfectly matches one of these peak resonant frequencies, the energy transfer from the string to the body becomes too efficient. The body vibrates so intensely that it disrupts the string's ability to vibrate smoothly, creating an unstable, howling wolf. Taming this wolf tone is a classic challenge for both cello makers and players. Luthiers, the artisans who craft stringed instruments, try to build cellos to minimize the effect. Players have developed techniques to control it, like applying slightly different bow pressure or using their knees to dampen the vibrations of the instrument's body. There are even small devices called wolf tone eliminators that can be attached to the strings to help suppress the unwanted vibration, ensuring a smooth and beautiful sound. Number 3. The legendary cellist Mstislav Rostropovich had an amazing collection of instruments, including a priceless Stradivarius. The world of classical instruments has its superstars, and one of the biggest names is the Duport Stradivarius cello. The Duport was made by the famous luthier Antonio Stradivari in 1711. It's famous for a small dent supposedly received from the boot of Napoleon Bonaparte, who was trying to play it. But the instrument is not just famous for that minor brush with history. Stradivarius cellos and violins are considered to be some of the greatest ever created. So, what makes a Stradivarius or Strad so special? For centuries, scientists and musicians have tried to unlock the secrets. Theories point to a perfect combination of factors. Some believe the wood itself was unique, harvested during a mini ice age that made the spruce and maple incredibly dense. Others focus on Antonio Stradivari's secret varnish formula, which may have contained ingredients like volcanic ash or special minerals that helped preserve the wood while allowing it to resonate with unmatched brilliance and power. Ultimately, it was his unparalleled craftsmanship, the precise arching, the thickness of the wood, and the overall geometric perfection that combined to create an instrument with a voice that has never truly been replicated. Number 4. It takes over 300 hours of highly skilled labor to craft a single high-quality cello from scratch. Making a cello is an incredible feat of artistry and engineering that has remained largely unchanged for centuries. A luthier starts with carefully selected blocks of wood, typically spruce for the base plate and maple for the back, sides, and neck. Each piece must be meticulously carved by hand with the thickness of the wood measured to fractions of a millimeter to ensure the best possible sound. The iconic curved shape of the cello is created by carefully bending the wood ribs around a mold using heat and moisture. The entire process involves over 70 different pieces of wood that must be perfectly fitted and glued together. After the body is assembled, several coats of a special varnish are applied, a process that can take weeks on its own. This varnish doesn't just protect the wood, it plays a crucial role in the instrument's final sound and resonance. From carving the delicate scroll at the top of the neck to fitting the sound post inside the body, every step requires immense patience, precision, and an artist's touch. And our fifth and final fun fact for today: the cello has a twin in Indian classical music called the dilruba. While the cello is a cornerstone in classical music, we see similar forms in instruments across the globe. One of the most fascinating relatives is the dilruba, an instrument from India. The name dilruba translates to robber of the heart in Persian, and it looks like a beautiful hybrid of a cello and another Indian instrument, the sitar. It has a small cello-like body and a long fretted neck like the sitar, and it's played with a bow while the musician kneels or sits. The dilruba was developed in the 17th century with the goal of being able to mimic the sound and nuances of the human voice. What makes it truly special is that, in addition to the 4 main strings that are played with the bow, it has about 15 to 19 sympathetic strings that run underneath the main ones. These strings are not played directly, but vibrate in sympathy when the main strings are bowed, creating a rich, shimmering, and ethereal echo. This gives the dilruba a hauntingly beautiful sound that's completely unique. Now for some news you can use. If you're a fan of cello music, here's a simple tip to deepen your appreciation. Listen for the musical conversation. The next time you listen to a string quartet or an orchestral piece with a prominent cello part, try to focus solely on the cello line. Think of it as one person's voice in a conversation. Is it providing a supportive foundation for the violins? Is it engaging in a back and forth dialogue with the viola? Or is it taking the lead with a powerful solo melody? This technique helps you to hear the music in a new way. Instead of just hearing a wall of sound, you start to pick out the individual roles and relationships between the instruments. The cello often acts as a warm, wise, grounding voice in the group. By actively listening for this voice, you'll notice details and emotional nuances in the music that you might have missed before, making the listening experience much more rich and engaging. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked if it's true that early cellos were large instruments carried around using a strap. Well, believe it or not, that's an actual fact. In the 16th century, when the cello first emerged in Italy, it was part of the violin family, but played the bass line. These early instruments, often called bass violins, were significantly larger than the cellos we know today. And here's a little bonus fact for you. The word cello itself actually alludes to this. Cello is short for violoncello, an Italian name that humorously translates to little big violin, perfectly describing the new smaller version of the bass violin instrument. They were so bulky that musicians couldn't play them sitting down on their lap. Instead, especially for outdoor events and processions, performers would use a strap or harness to hold the instrument while standing or even marching. It wasn't until the late 17th and early 18th centuries that craftsmen like the famous Antonio Stradivari began to standardize a smaller, more manageable size. This new design allowed the performer to play while seated, which in turn allowed for greater technical skill and helped the cello evolve from a background bass instrument into a celebrated solo star. Now, I hope you enjoyed hearing a bit about the cello with me today. Be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.